Look, thank you very much, the RTS, for inviting me here today. Do feel really, really very honoured. I've been working out of Birmingham Drama Village for the past, 17 years? And before that, probably did about 15 years at Pebble Mill. And over that time, I've been lucky to have worked with some of the most incredible talent on and off screen. Birmingham is known as the city of 1,000 trades, and hundreds of hours of drama we've produced from this great city over the past few decades is a testament to that. Every single show is the culmination of a huge number of people coming together, doing what they do best, creating exquisite costumes, extraordinary transformations through makeup, brilliant scripts, best-in-class directing, producing, editing, and of course, superb performances. No show can truly succeed without all of these things aligning. The absolute privilege of being an exec, or a super producer, is the opportunity to bring all these elements together and collectively produce that bit of magic. And Birmingham Drama is all about helping to find and grow talent and create opportunities. Indeed, BBC Birmingham Drama Department was originally set up in the late 1960s specifically to find writers with new voices outside of London. Back then, TV drama was by and large confined to the 1-hour play for today format. And the firebrands of the time were the double act of Northerner Ken Loach and Brummie Tony Garnett. They transformed drama by taking the cameras out of the studios to film the reality of life in the UK at the time, culminating in the polemic single film, Cathy Come Home. It was debated in Parliament, changed society, and inspired a lifelong passion in me personally for TV drama. Over the years, Doctors has covered numerous similarly challenging subject matters. The role soaps can play in bringing such difficult but important issues to the attention of the audiences cannot be underestimated. Lots of soaps do this brilliantly, but for Doctors to cover these really difficult stories and get the tone right in a daytime slot is something I will be forever proud. Birmingham creators have continued to seek out new writers from the nations and regions, many who have become household names, including Liverpudlian Alan Bleasdale, who created Boys in the Black Stuff, exploring the wretchedness of unemployment, and Troy Kennedy Martin from Scotland, who wrote Edge of Darkness, exposing the dark, labyrinthine nature of the nuclear industry. Both series won BAFTAs. The list of illustrious writers who have come through the regions is extraordinary, and something I was personally determined to continue. Huge numbers of regional writers secured their first break through the BBC Drama Village and have gone on to achieve admirable successes. I went to drama school in my hometown of Manchester in the 80s. At the time, Coronation Street was the most viewed TV drama. I really wanted to get into TV, but couldn't find a way in. I'd written to scores of people but didn't get a single response. No one talked about social mobility back then in the way they do, thankfully now. But TV drama at the time was something of an elite, largely populated by Oxbridge grads. It wasn't that I was getting lots of rejection letters, I just wasn't getting any replies. None of the drama execs were in the hurry to open the door to a working class kid from Moss Side, Manchester. So I decided I needed to find another way in. And in a sideways move, I wrote to the head of regional news and current affairs in Birmingham. He replied, and he invited me in. I spent a week shadowing the production team on Midlands Today. I was hired the very next week. I will be eternally grateful to him, not just for giving me the break, but because significantly taught me the importance of giving people a chance if you're in a position to do so. Live TV news is an amazing training ground. You all have to collaborate at speed and create a new story, a new show every day. It taught me to be fearless and embrace making fast turnaround TV. I learnt all about sound, cameras, floor managing, handling, presenters, and real public figures. I researched stories, vision mixed and directed live, seat-of-the-pants TV stuff, which often went wrong. For example, I was directing a insert for Midlands Today, which was live TV, and back in those days, you had the national news, and then you pressed the button which went to the regions, and everybody in the regions, whether it's Northwest, the Midlands, Southeast, they had their bulletin that they did live with the studio setup. Unfortunately, at that time, I just met the woman who was about to become my wife, and she was a very lovely trainee, and she was sat in the gallery with me, and I don't know whether it was me falling in love with her on the spot or just having a moment that I forgot to press the button. And so the whole of the West Midlands got the South East news. And I've had a very hairy, upset news editor on my back saying, what the fuck are you doing? Anyway, we survived that, and we're still together after 32 years married. So, don't kiss in a gallery. That's my advice to you. TV drama, apart from the soaps, are nearly all shot on location. One of the joys of working on TV is how a program can take you into amazing places and the lives of extraordinary people. I've worked in hospitals, jails, mines, mansions, hovels, 18th century mills. I've been in an iron smelting foundry in the Black Country on David Lodge's nice work, where literally it was dark, foul, smelly, noisy, with containers of molten lava spilling out within inches of you. Working conditions akin to the old mills. I've been lucky to work and learn from some of the world's brilliant creatives. I spent 3 months on the road with Danny Boyle, the director, who comes from a humble background himself. But I learned from him the value of backing yourself, sticking to your vision, and delivering something unique. It's no surprise he won an Oscar and put on the best Olympic opening ceremony in history. The great and scary thing about TV drama production is every day is different. And it throws up a challenge. 1 minute you're overseeing a car stunt. The next you're in miles up in a helicopter or building a railway for a period drama and having a 150-ton steam engine delivered to an old condemned building yards away from Spaghetti Junction. And often the unexpected happens. We were making a spooky drama in the Cotswolds and I had a big old house. The director wanted a scene set in a cellar and he wanted it to be really scary, so he said, get me a rat. So I got hold of the rat man. There is rat man out there who are performing rats, believe me, and he turned up in a van full of rats. And you know how people often look like their dogs? He got out, pointy nose, little bitty out, and whiskers. I said, where do you want the rat? He said, we want the rat down the cellar. I said, okay. So all the cameras there, they're set up, the makeup artists there, costume, everyone, the actors. We put the rat in the corner, and the director said, action. The rat did nothing. Cut. Can you animate the rat? I said, can you animate the rat? He said, yeah, I'll animate the rat. He said, when? I said, just roll your cameras. I said, all right, action. Started rolling the cameras. He picked the rat up, put its head in his mouth, slurped it, put it down, and it went like trying to get the slobber off its face. You should have seen the makeup girls running. By the late 90s, this digital age was upon us. The artists and creatives still wanted to be working on film. Costs were rocketing. Agents were asking for Winnebagos for their artists. Extras quadrupled, catering doubled, locations and design costs spiraled. Directors were making a name for themselves, and the scripts became less important. It was all about the director's vision. The BBC was being really stretched, and they needed to make more hours of TV to compete against the new emerging channels. But with the same modest license fee. All the associated filming costs made it almost impossible to fund drama, so less and less was being commissioned. Suddenly, cheaper, popular reality TV was becoming the norm. Drive-in schools started the wave, which meant unaffordable drama was going to decline. But I was convinced that the new and exciting digital cameras and editing technology could make TV drama difference. A much faster way to shoot and therefore more affordable. It seemed obvious to me that the audiences wanted more drama, but the BBC were saying they couldn't afford it. But they weren't embracing this digital production revolution. I saw a massive opportunity. At the same time, the writing was on the wall for Pell Mill, because expensive, empty multi-camera studios were out of fashion. To continue to make drama out of the Midlands, something fundamentally had to change. So convinced digital advances were the answer, in 1999, I took a sabbatical to make a pilot TV drama which was aimed at younger viewers, but made it a fraction of the price of the conventional TV drama. That led me to work with some very clever bunch of technical people who had found ways to make digital video look like film. It was a game changer. Suddenly, video was affordable and high quality. Mal Young, the then head of drama series at the BBC, embraced the concepts, and together we worked to create a brand new show, deliverable on a really modest budget without compromising the quality of the look. That show was Doctors. We set Doctors up back in 2000, using this new film effect, long lenses and 2 cameras to capture the sequences as quick as we possibly could, we crunched down the length of shooting. It's been a huge success. But when we first pitched the idea, it was pretty much laughed out of London before we even started. We were told a lower-cost drama would inevitably fail. It couldn't be done, that it would look terrible, and no one would watch. 22 years and 4,000 episodes later, the show is as strong as ever. Doctors has continued to win audiences and awards, whilst other, far better-funded continuing drama series have fallen away. That is testament to the hard work, talent, and creativity of everyone involved. And it's not just the look that made the show stand out, it's the compelling stories. The format of Doctors, essentially, and this is for the students and the audience who are interested in this kind of thing, is essentially a play for today, which meets a long-running series. So what happens is, the in-house editorial team create the long-running serial. That's myself, showrunner, the producers, the script editors. And then we ask the writer to come in with a story of the day. We blend the two together, then we have an episode. It has the best of both worlds, the familiarity of soap, but strong daily stories. Many people over the years have asked me how we repeatedly manage to deliver such high-quality content on such challenging budgets, and the answer always comes back to the talent. The teams at Drama Village are innovative, fearless, and incredibly creative. Most of all, I'm really proud of their can-do attitude. Every time I've suggested a new idea, however bold, however seemingly tricky to pull off, everyone at the Drama Village responds with, let's make this happen. This fantastic attitude has enabled me to take great risks with conviction that we could all deliver. And deliver we have, creating 7 hugely popular returning series. Our ethos is not just about great programs that we make, but also about giving people opportunities and nurturing talent both on and off screen. The roll call of artists who have had their first break here in Birmingham could fill the rest of the evening, but to give you a flavour, it includes Claire Foy, who played the Queen superbly in The Crown, double Oscar winner Eddie Redmayne, Jodie Whittaker, the first female Doctor Who. And we have continued to be pioneers too in the way we make our shows. Doctors was the first continuing drama to shoot on HD, and Langirls was the first period costume drama to be screened in daytime. Grease Monkeys was the first in-house drama on BBC Three. Father Brown, the global hit, brilliantly led by Mark Williams, is now in Series 11. That's 110 episodes. It plays out in 230 territories around the world. It is genuinely an iconic brand, loved by its ever-faithful fans. We often turn up on location to find people who have come from literally across the world to visit Kembleford, our glorious fictional location in the Cotswolds. Sister Boniface Mysteries was the first commission for BritBox International and UK TV. On launch, it received the highest viewing figures for a show on the Drama Channel in the whole 10 years the channel has been running. And The Canterville Ghost, a USA cable channel commission, is the first BBC studio drama to transmit on Channel 5 this Christmas and Boxing Day. It is a fantastic example of a talent in every department coming together to produce something really special. Our hair and makeup designers have just won an international Emmy for their work. Creating series, returning series, was a deliberate strategy. Long-running shows provide consistent work, which in turn means the opportunity to give people a chance, knowing that they will have time to learn and grow. Series which run for years on and sustain stable careers is something of a rarity in this business. And they provide opportunities for people to put down roots, have a settled life, enjoy long-term relationships, grow families, and commit to buying a home. It is also a range of other work that is so engaging and has led so many people working out of Birmingham for decades without feeling the need to move away. Hundreds of people who have come to work at the Drama Village may have started on Doctors, then gone on to work on one of our period dramas, Langirls, WPC 56, Sister Boniface, Father Brown, and then on to the international feature-length fantasy, The Canterville Ghost. Many of our creators have gone on to develop huge careers, some in Hollywood. All began their careers in this unique place. I believe when you are starting out, you need a safe place where you are given the support to learn, to be nurtured, and importantly, allowed to make mistakes, as we all do. May I refer you back to my newsroom days. As I said earlier, Birmingham Drama was set up to give writers in the regions a voice. What I set out to do in my career was to give people on and off screen opportunities to learn and develop. I know from personal experience how hard it is to break into the TV industry, So I wanted to create shows that would run and run in big numbers in order to give many more people the time and space to grow and develop. And I like to think that we have created an environment where hundreds of people have had that opportunity. Thank you for coming tonight, and thank you so many people in this fantastic city for your support, friendship, and many, many talents.
Thank you so very much, Will. A couple of really simple questions to begin with. You said that you learnt how to handle actors and presenters. What's your biggest tip for handling an actor?
Much easier than presenters.
Starting as we mean to go on.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Can you hear him? Yes, there we go.
I'm lucky because I went to drama school, so there's a huge element of like loving being around actors, hopefully understanding them, what their motivation is, and you know, in the end, they just want the best scripts. They just want, you know, they want people to direct them. Actors want direction. Often technical directors will turn up and they don't realise an actor quite likes being told to, you know, not just to walk over there, but they want to know what they're doing. So I'm a fay with all that. With presenters, I haven't really worked that much with presenters.
I was only kidding about that. When one door opens for you, let another one through. That seems to be something that you've done quite a lot in your career, giving lots of people opportunities, and I'm assuming that comes from the fact that that person in the newsroom said, "Come on, I'm answering you." Was that the sort of very beginning of your attitude to helping people?
Yeah, very much so. And you know, as I say, I wasn't getting rejection letters. I was just getting no's.
Nothing.
I mean, I think much better now. I think the industry at doing that. You know, people like Jay Hunt, who used to be channel controller at the BBC. You know, I could write to her and she'd come back in about 5 minutes. I mean, back in the day, people didn't come back for months on end, and you know. So it's a different industry now, I'd like to think. Social mobility is much better.
You said that you take risks and you've made brave decisions. I think one of those was Land Girls, wasn't it?
Yes, that's right.
Did people think, where are you, number one, going to have the budget to put a costume drama in daytime? Number two, Land Girls, you're talking about a total period piece which is going to need... Did you need a Messerschmitt?
Yeah, just quick backstory there. We'll show a clip. But I was Liam Keelan, who's now at Disney Plus, was the daytime controller at the time, and Jay Hunt happens to be the BBC One controller. And he said to me, I was having a conversation. He said, "Can you do anything for the 70th outbreak? You know, the history of the World War II." And I thought, I can't do the Blitz. You know, I mean, you're crazy. So I went away and I taught. What you do is you talk to your team. So I talked to my team and I talked to one of the designers. I set the editorial team to talk to the writers. And the designer said, "Well, you can't do anything in the town. You can't, for this kind of money. But the country hasn't changed. Do something in the country." And I went, "He's got a point." So I went back to the writers, and then I found one of the writers who'd come up with the idea of Land Girls. He's actually written. They just had their medal. They'd been a forgotten army, effectively. And yet they saved, people's lives during the war because they did the bumper harvest, which kept Britain going during the, when all the submarines were bumping off the ships. So, do you want to show a little bit?
Yes, please.
Is it a Spitfire?
Enemy plane! Take cover!
Mr. Gillespie, I presume.
So I sold this idea to Liam, and I just got a bit ahead of myself, and I said, it's about Land Girls, it's about World War II, but I'm going to bring the war to us, because we're in land. We're going to fly a Messerschmitt in. And he went, great. And then I thought, how am I going to do this? So I went to talk to my colleagues, as I said before, and one of them happened to be a very expert in aeroplanes. And he said, leave it with me. And he got in touch with Aces High, who were a company down south. And they came up, brought a Messerschmitt, we did it. And then I thought, well, hang on a minute, if we're going to do that, I had 3 series by then. Every episode, not every episode, every show needs an aeroplane, so I put another one in. The last one, the Dakota, bizarrely, I talked to the guy who was running it. I said, when was the last time you used that? He said, oh, we used it with Clint Eastwood on Firefox, and then Harrison Ford in Temple of Doom. I went, all right, okay. So anyway, we did this little thing called Land Girls.
So that's quite action-packed. When I think of some of the dramas that have had great success, you've mentioned Father Brown, Sister Boniface Mysteries, Boniface. What is it about those dramas that makes them, number one, such appointments to view for people, that gives us that feeling of joy and gentleness, and yet it's heartwarming without being schmaltzy? What's the secret?
The background to Father Brown was that I'd done Land Girls, and they'd been poo-pooed by the distribution company which was called Worldwide at those days. And then they realised when they were going to MIPCOM and elsewhere, it was selling like hotcakes. And they thought, well, we better go and talk to this. So they came to talk to me. I said, well, what are you missing in your portfolio? And they said, well, we've got lots of hardcore, crime drama, but we haven't got anything, pre-watershed. So you mean cozy crime? I said, yeah, okay, I could do that. So we started to look around. We discovered the G.K. Chesterton books, which were out of copyright. Ka-ching. Then also, because they're out of copyright, we could do what we want. They were set in the 1930s. I'll move to the 1950s, put them in. So basically, we just played with the format and then built the family around him.
Yes.
So it's a gang show, not just about Father Brown. Also, the key to this is casting. You cast someone like Mark Williams, and also Lorna. He, in the books and in those previous TV series, is very, very, he just watches, very stable, doesn't do anything. Whereas I want him to be active. You see, like we want the shows to be dramatic. And he is a very physical actor, so I wanted that as well. He could do humour, he could do Shakespeare, he could do anything. So he was my lead. I mean, you couldn't believe it. I just offered it him straight off the bat. We didn't interview him. I just said, would you do it? And he said, yes.
Cozy crime. Should we have a look at a clip from Father Brown?
I do think you have some explaining to do.
I've just seen my wife's face for the last time. My child will grow up without a father. Can you call that justice?
You lied to me. A confession is sacrosanct, not somewhere where you can spin stories.
Train stopping.
Signals.
We're only just out of Kimbleford.
Another train coming in, single line working.
This is your doing.
No one knows you're here.
Stay where you are!
Lying.
William! William! Keep back! Both of you! Just stay calm! Turn up! What? Turn up!
Please let me help you. I know you didn't kill your friend.
We've got him now?
No. You have to get in there.
He's not going anywhere.
Do it!
Oh no.
It's cozy crime, joyful locations, gorgeous outfits,
Whodunit.
costumes, a whodunit. Weren't you in a punk band once?
Oh, God. Who told you that?
We do our research.
Yeah, I was part of the Manchester scene. Would you believe it? So I was a band that supported Buzzcocks.
So is there, I mean, we could carry on just talking about that for a while, but no. Is there a part of you that is punk in your attitude to making things and being brave and breaking rules, being a pioneer?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there's, that sort of garage band mentality where you're sort of up against it because there's the really huge sort of dinosaurs out there, the big shows, and you think, well, how can we compete with Dickens or Austin or whatever? And actually, when I did Father Brown, they were going, no one's going to watch Lango. No one's going to watch this. It's not by Dickens. It's not by Austen. Well, loads of people watched it.
Yeah.
Millions of people, because it's within our lifetime as well. So I'm moving those things to the 50s. So our parents, our grandparents, who talk to us about it. So I think it's more relevant than sometimes than some of these period dramas that they put on.
As a matter of interest, when that's sold elsewhere, is it all to Christian countries who recognise a friendly father, or Sister Boniface?
I don't know why Father Brown is such a phenomenon. I mean, it's in China. I mean, for goodness sake. I mean, Russia. I mean, you expect it to be in the English.
North Korea?
Countries. I don't know about North Korea. But it is a phenomenon. One didn't expect that. But the whodunit element, I think the English-speaking thing and the costumes and the lushness of it all adds to that, that greatness. And the spin-off show we're going to show a clip of now, which is Sister Boniface. She was in the very first series, and she was so good, we thought, right, we'll keep her as a character, because Mark Williams will go off and do another Harry Potter or something. We won't see him again, So after a couple of series, maybe we could do the Sister Boniface. Well, 10 years later, we're still doing it. So that's when we decided we're finally going to do the Sister Boniface thing. And this is the same thing. It's heart, warmth, food, but this is witty as well, much, much wittier.
What are we about to see?
I think we're going to see Sister Boniface Mystery. Is that correct?
But do you know the clip?
I don't. Which one is it? One or
Is she
two?
singing?
If you like, do the...
Watch that with a live audience responding like that.
No, I haven't.
How did that feel?
The bizarre thing is, they only had one go at that. So, and actually...
The song or the experiment?
Well, the song that we were going to cut into about 10 different shots, they ran out of time. So they had to do 2 shots on her, and she had to do it live. I mean, that's a skill in itself. I mean, they took her to Abbey Road to do the voice, then she's actually ad-libbing to that. She's not...
Wow.
She's actually singing it. It's fantastic.
So Stephen Knight Studios here,
Yep.
they're going to have a lot more money than you do, right?
Yep.
Is there room for everybody in not just the Midlands, but in this area of drama?
I don't know what you mean.
So
Are you saying it's just lower cost drama or massive cost drama?
well, it's not, is it? There is a middle ground.
Yeah.
And what are you, would you say? Apart
Well-
from pre-Watershed Joy.
Well, I'm not going to quote the prices, but those are lower cost dramas. The next clip, if we've got time to see it, is a much higher cost drama, which I did with the American cable. So the skills base are here, basically, is what I'm saying. The people can do it. The writers, the directors, the talent is here. As I say, the costume guys, makeup guys just won an international Emmy. But, this is... I mean,
What
it's
did
not
they
stuff.
win the Emmy for?
Well, hair and makeup.
No, but for which show?
For next one's coming up, Canterville Ghost.
So are we going to get a sense of their hair and
I hope so.
makeup?
This is Anthony Head playing the Canterville Ghost, which is an Oscar Wilde novella, which we turned into a 4-part series.
I mean, you told us the story about... That's my dad, by the way, the rat man that you were describing like that. I felt like shouting that from the audience, but I didn't. But we've got another rat story.
Yeah,
He loves rats. Is it the year of the rat?
I don't know. But the reason why... When we sold the ideas to the Americans, they said, we really like this idea of the Canterville Ghost. I know it's been done before, and it's a Edwardian, but we want a family audience, so we want it to be contemporary, which is a bit of a shock. How do you do contemporary, mobile phones and stuff like that, ghosts? So, and also the ghost, I felt, had to speak to someone, because it can be 4 hours of television drama. He couldn't just wander around talking to himself. So I come up with the idea that a rat would have been buried with him, because he was buried alive, so for 400 years. Now, that was one of my brightest ideas. Not. Because the rat costs more than the cast put together. And it speaks, it moves, it does everything. And the writer got very excited about this and started to write all sorts of things, speaking and moving. I said, no, stop. So I'll just show you, maybe for the students, a clip of how they built the rat. They don't show all of it, but I can talk you through it. So if you've got those clips. So that's the rat with the fur on and everything. So they built it in a machine. It took 3 months. They built it in a computer, obviously, to animate it. It's animated. See, it's jumping around. So you shoot everything, and then they animate it. There it is up there, and it's talking. So it's all like black and white. So you film where you want the rat to be. You give it to them, and then a month later they come back with the footage.
Does he have an agent, your rat?
I don't know.
What would you say, Will Trotter, is your proudest moment so far in your career, achievement-wise?
I think to turn around a known brand like G.K. Chesterton's Father Brown, to sell it into 230 territories, to keep selling it. It's now going 110. It's going for another 2 series, I suspect. So that's you know, as I say, employs people. People keep coming back to that show.
Yeah.
And we've just reinvented it because a couple of the artists had to leave for various reasons. So, and it seems to be able to do it. So yeah, it's got popular written all over it, and Mark Williams is a brilliant performer.
Thank you so much. We can open the floor for questions now, although it's more like a ramp up, isn't it?
I'm Carmen from MON Productions. Just to say, well, you've had a hugely long and industrious career. It's been absolutely fantastic, you know, to watch all of that. And I know you're justifiably proud of everything you've done. What if you had that chance to do one thing that you haven't yet done? What would that thing be?
What a lovely question.
Well, prime time Sunday night or Saturday night has always escapes me. So I would probably want to do something in that. Although with channel hop, you know, time changing now, people are not so fixated on that. But you know, when you see how amazing Happy Valley has come through, you know, and I wanted to do that years ago. I wanted to make, because I think that's based on Fargo, and I was jealous from the word go, because I love Fargo, and I can do a Fargo in the Midlands with the Black Country people. She did it. So something like that, I guess, you know. But things like feature films don't really bother me. I really like Bums on Seats TV.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody on this side?
When you mentioned social mobility has improved a lot, could you give some more examples as to what you're referring to, please?
Well, I mean, Doctors is the place to go, really. I mean, it actively embraces, obviously, younger people who come and work on the shows, not just Doctors, across the board, actually. And it is difficult. I'm not going to deny it, because particularly the BBC and maybe some of the shows that we make are not particularly attractive to certain, you know, groups. But lots of younger people come to us, and lots of writers and directors and producers who've now worked with us over the years from diverse backgrounds are now making a really, really, you know, big statement in the industry, making, you know, films, some of them making feature films. So I think it takes time, and there's more training going out there. I think there's more. I mean, I've done lots of training courses for directors. One of the guys who directed that sequence with Sister Boniface, he's deaf, and he's had a cochlear implant, and he's been working with us for 15 years. So there's no bar against people coming in, but it's a two-way thing. That, like me, they have to get in there and you know, find a way in, as much as the people who work there have to go out to the you know, out to the city, out to the places where people are, and try to convince them to join, you know, these shows.
What sort of work do you do? Microphone. Oh, they've taken it away from you already.
He's a freelance filmmaker, I think.
Yeah, but what sort of films? I'm interested.
No, I went to
I'm just trying to get you a job.
I went to the NFTS, so I went to the top of the territory. I done an executive program, and there's this strange thing going on. I don't believe in diversity and inclusion. How can something be diverse and inclusive at the same time? And we're just having this futile conversation like a dog chasing after its tail. And if people have to go out and earn their keep, what's the difference between when there was a color bar and there's like white taps here and black taps here? Why can't there just be a streamlined labor market that anyone can just apply to?
Wow, that's a very, very big question. Do you even want to attempt to answer that? No. No.
But I get your point.
Yes.
There shouldn't be. You shouldn't have to bang on about diversity. But I think the system's set up to do that at the moment, and someone's got to change it. And if that's you, then
No,
you know, once you
people
get it.
just like talking about it, and I realize it's become it's now a hamster on a Ferris wheel. It never ends.
Well, thank you for bringing that up, and I wish we had more time to address something like that. But we can all chat afterwards. The mic has been taken away from you. Who else? Over here. Thank you. Tell us who you are.
Ben Robinson's
Hi,
Ever
Ben.
Digital. Will, I think your work speaks for itself, so congratulations. My question comes from a producer's perspective. Everyone assumes that because you're in the BBC, you can go straight to the controller and pitch your ideas, but I'm also aware that actually pitching an idea to your head of department and controller in-house is as difficult as it is for an indie. So, with your successes, what advice would you give to a producer or a writer who's got a great script and a great drama idea to try and get it through and get it commissioned?
$60 million.
Sorry, Will.
So what I did was like your punk rock thing. I couldn't get through. So, you're hitting a brick wall. What's one of those self-help things? You go around the ball. So the commissioners are not really interested. Drama commissioners are not really interested in what I do. So I went straight to the channel controller. So I took the risk of saying I can make something in daytime which has not been made before, and it'll be quality, and you've got to trust me. And then, so, that's 20 years ago, and all that work's come out of that mostly.
Is that helpful?
So find a way of getting to somebody else rather than the usual commissioners.
How do people find that bravery? How do they even know where to begin?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, also you've got to find friends. I mean, Mal Young was a friend. He's Liam Keelan. He happens to be from Liverpool. I'm from Manchester. There's a sort of sense of, we're working class. We can sort of, we're not in the elitist gang, and that's what the drama world is a little bit, and that's fine. But there's room for everything, as you say.
Yeah. Any other questions? Over there. Yes, I see you. Which is a miracle, because I have really bad eyesight.
Hi there. My name's Mel. I run a company called Gritty Talent, but I started my career in the Midlands Today newsroom, just like you, Will, probably a decade later. But it was somebody taking a chance on a girl from Redditch who had no previous media experience. So there you go. Now I run a media company.
Congratulations.
So there you go. Incidentally, I'm really happy to chat to the gentleman later about diversity issues, because that's something that I've spent a lot of time thinking about and working on, if you want to chat later. My question is about these big technological advances. So you mentioned that you'd seen digital coming down the lane, and you were like, right, let's really harness it. So and that's been a game changer for so many of us, so many of our content creators these days. The social space, the streamers is the next step up, isn't it, in terms of where digital's taking us. I was just interested in where you see we're going in terms of, the Netflixes and the Apples. They're high-end TV, they're very high budget. Admittedly, some of their budgets are now coming down. But where you think drama's going in terms of, we've got very high-end at the moment, and then we've got low cost as well. So where are we in this space in terms of who we're pitching to and where we're going to go with our tech?
I've heard a lot of talk around the sort of £800,000 areas, those kind of areas coming back into fashion, which back in the day, you'd be doing something like Dale and Pascal or Dangerfield for 600, 700, 800,000 pounds. I mean, that's 20 years ago. Nowadays, those big budget shows, the BBC, someone's got to react if they want to get 9 o'clock show. It doesn't have to be £2 million an hour to be a successful 9 o'clock show. I mean, I don't get it. And actually, as you say, people are watching it now through Netflix, and you're watching it through your TV. You don't actually, half the time, you don't know what channel it's on. So I do believe there's opportunities there, and I think someone like Stephen Knight will want that mix and the people he works with. And in fact, he's talking about the studio setup there having more than one just great big cavernous thing. He wants, a drama school, he wants a theatre, he wants things in there which make it a media village, if you like. So I think the opportunities will be there. It's as you say, it's about someone said it's about getting them under the nose of these commissioners, because they're swamped. And the BBC hasn't got as much money as it talks about, and Channel 4 hasn't either. So it is good to get in bed with those Netflixes and Amazons, but I think they'll be changing their range of offering too.
Thank you, Mel.
There's one here.
Okay, and lots in the middle there.
Hello, Vanessa Jackson, Birmingham City University, ex of the BBC. Well, how does your work draw on the legacy of people like David Rose, Michael Waring, Barry Hansen, who came before you at BBC Pebble Mill, BBC Birmingham, and really tried to give voice to voices and stories that weren't being heard elsewhere, and particularly representation outside London, particularly in the Midlands and the North?
It's kind of a big question. I mean, I was looking. We looked at doctors and said, how Birmingham can we make doctors? In the end, it was quite difficult, partly because we didn't have enough artists with a Birmingham accent. If you swamped it all, it would all sound. And also, it's not just Brummie accents here. There's all sorts of range of accents. So we went for a different sort of viewpoint, and that was telling stories, as I said, which were a lot of them. So we've done paedophilia, we've done rape, we've done all sorts of hard stories, homelessness. You know, we've done a lot of those things. Sometimes in a five parts across a week. So something like Doctors does tackle those subjects. A lot of the other stuff that I make is more like what Barry Hansen was doing when he came. He was given the job, after Michael Ware, he was given the job to do popular returning series and try and make them. Now, everyone thinks it's easy to make a popular returning series. It isn't. And actually to make one of those are popular in many ways is because they can hang their hat on the fact that they're crime. So a lot of them are crime, and crime obviously has got a skeleton, which is a story, so you already got that going for you. They still did crime and stuff in the past. I mean, Edge of Darkness is a crime mystery, you know. So, I mean, I worked on a Michael Waring show, which is called First and Last. We started at Land's End, and we went all the way to John O'Groats. The leading actor happened to pass away during the... So we had to go all the way back to Land's End and start again. But
shouldn't laugh.
But, you know, those days of those kind of films are just not around anymore, really. I mean... It's changing climate.
We have time for a couple more questions. One over here and one over there.
Hi, I'm Tracy Briggs. I'm a freelance actor, a freelance happy actor of 40 years standing.
Well done.
And I live in Birmingham because I came to train in Birmingham and kind of stayed, but work everywhere else. My question is, I was interested that Father Brown has like international sales and makes lots of money for the BBC. And what you've done in Birmingham is amazing, and the amount of people who've trained through all your programs, both crew and actors. And all that money Father Brown makes for the BBC, can it come back to you or whoever replaces you and carry on making brilliant programs from our region?
Well, that would have been great, wouldn't it? Unfortunately, the system was not set up like that. It was many years ago. I mean, it was a whole different game with Michael Waring and people around. They were given so much studio time, so much airtime, and they were told to go away and pitch to Alan Yentob or someone and say, look, I'm doing this thing about, you know, conspiracy theories. Oh, I don't like the sound of that. Well, you know, it'll be great. Okay, well, here's X amount of money, go and do it. So it wasn't about then making money as a profit. It was just a budget sliced up between creatives, if you like. Now, with BBC Studios, things, I guess, will change. And but how they carve their money up, I have no idea. It's always been a $60 million question. Then they take all my money from Father Brown and put it on some terrible game show, which dies a death, you know. So it's not in my hands. It's in the economics of the...
So can we make it in our hands, and can we lobby the BBC bigwigs and say we want our profit back here?
Use my name.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks so much. Anybody over here? Probably this is the penultimate question, I think.
I'll have to hope it's a good one. Mark Hughes-Webb, I'm founder of Film Warwickshire and board member at Create Central and director of Sky Blue Studios in Coventry. Well, obviously the fantastic thing of all this coming out of BBC Birmingham is not lost on anyone, but obviously the locations that you use and the communities you film in are very rural. Do you think the BBC's done enough to engage with sort of rural communities in relation to film and media? Because having grown up in a village in South Warwickshire, it's very alien. There's a lot of talk around Birmingham and cities, but actually there's a lot of rural isolation, particularly in connection to the media. But do you think there's any initiatives that the BBC should be looking at doing to engage with those communities?
The Archers?
The Archers is a good one, but done in Birmingham.
Well, it's interesting. Emmerdale was the first daytime drama, wasn't it? And that became, and it's now a big hitting show, 6 times a week or something like that. It's incredible. I don't know what the answer is. I mean, it'll all come down to the writers, the ideas, and what the the motivation of the writers, rather than the bosses, because they won't. They'll want you to come to them with a really cracking idea, which is set in Evesham or somewhere. I don't know. I mean, I set Shakespeare and Hathaway in Stratford-upon-Avon because I knew it was a brand. It would sell around the world, you know. it's easy when Shakespeare's name's in it and Hathaway's. So it's a bit of canny sort of selling going on there. Father Brown was a brand name, you know. You mean Canterville Ghost is a brand name, and that's filmed at Rackley Hall and East Nor Castle mostly, and then all around the countryside around there. It's fabulous countryside. It's just beautiful, and the Americans love it. So I mean, yeah, there should be more. But if you're talking about more hardcore stories set in rural communities, that's like different what I do. But you need to bring writers with that, you know, in mind.
Final question over there.
Hello, I'm John West. I'm an art director. I work in film and television. The concern about, back to the Film and Television Union, the concern is that the budget isn't being spent in the Midlands. There are an awful lot of talented people who aren't getting work, and we see most of the budget going to London. Manchester gets a huge amount. We're getting very little. You know, brilliant work has been done on Doctors. I've been an art director on Doctors. I'm probably best known for doing Victoria for ITV, which did cost £2 million an hour. But you know, we would really like to see the budget being spent here and using local talent. As there's an awful lot of frustration when things like Doctors are actually cast and crewed from London. One of the cinematographers was actually living in London and commuting to Birmingham, and you know, we do have people who can use a camera in Birmingham. The actors who can act in Birmingham. It's a shame that everything gets sent down to London when there is the talent here. You know, it used to be the razzmatazz place where so much creativity happened, particularly with ATV, because they were theatre people, and it's a shame that we're losing so much work to London and Manchester when you know, the talent here deserves the work.
Well, I can tell you from my conversation with Stephen Knight that he is very, very, very keen on building up a workforce, because he's opening up a big studio setup in 3 or 4 years' time. And if he hasn't got the infrastructure here in terms of the talent base, the talent pool, so there's really big, I mean, this is not just yourself, this is about training, it's about bringing people forward, but they will need people like yourself because the local talent is really, really crucial, and it's getting very expensive to bring people up from London. And why would you do that if you got it locally? So I agree.
Thank you all so much for all your questions, and thank you, Will Trotter. What a joy.
Thank you. Thank you very much.